Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man to go nuts if he cash you. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
Queen.
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
I'm
Queen.
getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so we have a lot to cover, honey, because Trump is out here just causing destruction. Okay, so we're going to get into it. And hello, Claudette, We the People, 504, Nola, Anita Harrell, that Crazy Beach Aries. All right, let's get into it, Shalvit Israel. All right, 6'3" soldier, where have you been? Above all that drama, Nessie X is in the virtual building, Claudette. All right, everyone, hey, Alice, everyone hit that like button. Please like, share, subscribe. Also, don't forget to double check and make sure that you're still subscribed, especially if you have not been receiving your notifications. All right, Michael, I see you, G from the land. Jeff ATL, shout out to all of my loyal royals, everyone tuned into the Queen, and a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. So before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so with that all being said, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil. Okay, so let's get into it because y'all's president. Okay, Trump's not playing any games because he has given the order for a blockade around Venezuelan oil tankers. Okay, he has them completely surrounded by warships, according to reports. All right, so let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share Venezuela completely surrounded by U.S. warships. Let's see what Trump has brewing. Here we go.
Military buildup. Well, this is developing overnight. This escalating standoff here. President Trump says Venezuela is surrounded by the largest armada in South American history. This is the military buildup in the Caribbean we've been talking about. The president has been talking about a lot with these warships, drones, and tens of thousands of troops. The president now designated Venezuela as a terrorist organization and ordering a blockade of tankers carrying sanctioned oil as he continues to threaten land strikes any day now. News Nation's Libby Dean has more for us from the White House. And Libby, good morning to you. What comes next for Venezuela?
Well, good morning, Anna. President Trump says that armada will only get bigger until Venezuela returns oil, land, and all other assets he claims belong to the United States. Now, the president making this announcement on Truth Social designated the Venezuelan regime as a foreign terrorist organization. A big move there in ordering a complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers. Now, oil is Venezuela's top export, and in a statement, President Nicolas Maduro's government accused the Trump administration of violating international law and free trade, as well as trying to steal their wealth. Now, the news comes following these series of strikes against alleged Venezuelan drug boats. Some lawmakers that we've heard from both sides of the aisle raising these questions and concerns about whether these strikes will lead to war between the U.S. and Venezuela. Now, as for the War Secretary, Pete Hegseth, he says he won't release the video of that second strike on an alleged drug boat to the public, which some say may have violated that international law there. Now, that comes after we know Congress was briefed on that operation in the Caribbean on Tuesday, and all of that happening behind closed doors.
I want you all to pay attention because that's the thing. Trump's regime is just doing whatever they want, and then when questions are asked and people want evidence of what they're saying, they won't be transparent. Now, Pete Hegseth is now saying he is not going to release the footage. Why not? Because he knows that they absolutely committed war crimes. He knows it with his lying, ignorant self. I hope they get everything that is in fact coming to them. Let's go to this next report.
That he ordered a complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers going in and out of Venezuela. He also called on Venezuela to return, quote, all the oil, land, and other assets previously stolen from us. White House National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett was asked about a possible blockade on Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan just a couple of days ago.
So all of a sudden, Venezuela has stolen all these things and resources from the United States. When? And how come none of the other presidents have ever said a single word about it? Okay, Trump's coming up with all these nefarious excuses to try and justify his actions.
Do you feel you have the leeway there, pricing wise, to conduct more seizures or even a blockade of oil from Venezuela without it hurting?
Yeah, well, I'm not a foreign policy guy, so
Right.
like what we do with Venezuela and whether we blockade is up to the president and Marco Rubio. But I could say
But
that
you've got the leeway, right?
what's been going on is there's been kind of a black market for oil amongst sort of this sanctioned countries. And what we're doing is we're shutting that black market down. Whether that affects prices outside of the sanctioned countries is kind of an open question. Probably not.
You don't think it will?
No, because they're already kind of on the ropes, these countries. They're only getting oil when they get like sort of black fleets to sneak in and give them the oil.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to slow down.
This is all a hot mess. Hold on. The reports keep coming. This is breaking news.
Right now, across the wires, President Trump is ordering a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers going into and out of Venezuela, saying that the armada around Venezuela will only get bigger, and that the Venezuelan regime has been designated a foreign terrorist organization, crossing on all the wires coming from the Trump administration and the president himself, a blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers into Venezuela. As we look at some of those drug boat takeouts, that's a significant move around the country of Venezuela.
Yeah, I mean, Brett, it's incredibly disturbing. I think this is why you're seeing members of Congress on both sides of the aisle coming forward and saying, you know, we need to understand a little bit more about what the posture is and what the reasoning and rationale is. It's one of the reasons why we have, you know, checks and balances in this country, and why the legislative branch is so involved when there is a decision to go to you know, potentially invade, or, you know, even potentially go to war with another country. So lots of questions here. I think that President Trump, I know he's speaking to the country tomorrow night, addressing the nation. I think it's very important that he be transparent with the American people as to why he's doing this. And, you know, I think a lot of people are asking questions. Are we going to actually go into war with Venezuela? More questions here than we have answers.
Yeah, Ari, you know, the president is saying, and maybe tomorrow night in his primetime address, which you'll see here on Fox, he's going to get into this, some of the specifics. It's not that we don't hear from this president a lot. We hear from him a lot on a lot of moves, but tonight he's saying this blockade, I mean, it's a significant move.
Yeah, I think for most of the American people, everything vis-a-vis Venezuela is unexplained. I don't think the American people understand or know, have probably never even heard of him for the most part, Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, and what's wrong with him? What's our beef with him? What's our beef with Venezuela? President Trump hasn't explained it thoughtfully to the American people. So it's a lot of tough, knee-jerk action that's pretty good against drugs. I support it. The action against the tankers, in most cases, well, in the case previously, that was under a warrant, and that tanker was an unauthorized tanker. It wasn't even flagged, which is a violation of international law. So he has good reasons, but he's not explaining them. And I think if he wants the support of the American people for another foreign venture, he needs to explain it.
Yeah, Meredith, I mean, right now they're forecasting that tomorrow's primetime speech is going to be kind of the hits up until this point, but I assume it'll be some of this as well.
Yeah, I think people are looking for answers on many fronts. And, you know, we're getting to the time of the year. It's about 1 year into Trump's first year here back in the White House. And the White House wants to look ahead to the midterms. They want to talk about the economy and what they're trying to do here. But what we've seen more recently is a lot of distractions, whether it's this Vanity Fair article or even the president's comments about Rob Reiner yesterday that were really disturbing to a lot of people on the Hill.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page.
Trump is out here bullying poor little Venezuela, okay, for no good reason, and then trying to make up asinine excuses as to why he's doing what he's in fact doing. Now, with that being said, my question is, where are China and Russia? They're allies of Venezuela, okay, and so far I haven't heard them say anything. And here's a report just in from a few days ago, not just in actually, but it says, as Trump targets Venezuela, its allies, Russia and China, show little signs of support. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro could be forgiven for wondering who his true friends are. Once rock solid, his reliance on his two main allies, China and Russia, now appear increasingly uncertain. For years, both countries supported Venezuela's socialist-led government politically, financially, and militarily, a relationship that began under former President Hugo Chavez, Maduro's mentor and predecessor. But experts say that backing now seems to be largely symbolic, with statements being given in support rather than concrete military or financial aid. This shift comes as the U.S. has deployed air and naval forces, including a nuclear-powered submarine, spy planes, and 15,000 troops to the Caribbean. The U.S. has conducted strikes on the boats in the region that it alleges are smuggling drugs, killing more than 80 people, and in recent days, it seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. The Trump administration has said the military buildup and strikes are targeting drug trafficking, and the tanker had been sanctioned. But many experts and Maduro himself believe Washington's real goal is regime change. So, at the Venezuelan president's hour of greatest need, what has changed? They ask. Professor Fernando Reyes Mata, director of the Center for China Studies at Andres Bello University in Chile, argues that Venezuela has become a far lower priority for both Beijing and Moscow, especially since U.S. President Donald Trump returned to the White House. It says there is no reason today for either Russia or China to go all in defending Venezuela, given their other problems, such as Russia and its war with Ukraine, and China trying to coexist internationally with President Trump. Okay? I want y'all to pay attention. So basically saying they have their own issues with the U.S. and they don't want to ruffle any feathers, so they're just not going to get involved. So it looks like Venezuela's on their own, so Trump's just going to keep on bullying them, sadly, for them. Now, since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Moscow has poured enormous resources into the conflict, straining both its finances and its military. It has also faced sweeping Western sanctions. Now, this leaves fewer resources for allies that previously benefited from Kremlin support. This is what Professor Vladimir Rovinsky, the director of the Laboratory of Politics and International Relations at NC University in Columbia, said. Syria and Iran, Moscow's longstanding allies in the Middle East, have faced a similar fate in recent times. Russia will not risk receiving more sanctions than it already has, and China will not risk getting more tariffs imposed on for defending Maduro. This is what Professor Rovinsky explains. Okay, do y'all hear this? Trump has him right where he wants him, sadly for them. Maduro reportedly asked China and Russia for military assistance at the end of October, according to the Washington Post. Now, the Kremlin's deputy foreign minister, Sergei Rybakov, has said, "We support Venezuela as it supports us," while urging the Trump administration to avoid escalating the crisis. Okay, this is what Russian media reported. Now, in the wake of the American seizure of the oil tanker, the Kremlin said that Putin had called Maduro to affirm his support. But so far, Moscow has not provided any material assistance. Like Moscow, Beijing has shown no sign that it would militarily defend Venezuela, instead condemning what it calls external interference and urging restraint. Now, experts say China defending Maduro could jeopardize recent diplomatic gains between Beijing and Washington, while offering little beyond ideological alignment. So U.S.-China relations have been particularly tense since Trump imposed tariffs on multiple countries. But a meeting between Trump and Xi Jinping in South Korea in late October, described as positive by both sides, opened the door to new agreements and lower tariffs on certain products. Now, according to experts, Venezuela's economic collapse and the deterioration of its oil industry have further discouraged Chinese support. Beijing has reduced new lending in recent years and is now focused mainly on recovering past loans. I think China is willing to negotiate with any government that eventually replaces Maduro, and believes that supporting Maduro too strongly now could bring negative consequences when the regime finally falls. This is what Professor Rovinsky says. So Professor Reyes Mata does not think either of the two countries is willing to support a regime that has so little internal backing. Moreover, both Russia and China know that the last presidential election had very evident fraudulent characteristics. Basically saying they pretty much feel like Maduro just bullied his way in there and just took the election, okay, which is what many of the people in Venezuela have in fact been saying, that it's basically a stolen presidency and he really should not even have any authority. So that is another reason for them not to back him. Fraudulent characteristics is just a nice way of saying that he stole the election. Okay, now, the July 2024 election was marred by serious allegations of fraud. The National Electoral Council, known as the CNE, dominated by government allies, proclaimed Maduro the winner, but provided no detailed results, unlike in previous elections. So they didn't show any receipts. Okay, now the opposition, led by this year's Nobel Peace Prize laureates Maria Corina Machado, the lady who dedicated her win to Trump, mind you, which showed me that she's really not that smart. Okay, now, basically says that, hold on, I'm sorry. Okay, there it is. Okay, so the opposition, led by this year's Nobel Peace Prize laureates, Marina Corina Machado, released electoral records suggesting the opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez won. Okay, that was the real winner. Now, this time, Maduro is completely alone, says Professor Ravinsky, who believes Maduro's time is running out. Now, Russia and China may continue criticizing U.S. intervention, and they're not willing to go any further. The support he had in the past is no longer there in real terms beyond certain rhetorical statements. Let me tell you all something. Why Trump is this is a smart move by Trump, because the thing is, these people already want Maduro out of there because he fraudulently got the position, as they claim. And so now his own people are really not backing him, save for the people in his entourage, his administration, right? But most of the people in his own country are not backing him. Trump has China and Russia pretty much by the balls because of the tariffs and sanctions and whatnot. And with that all being said, so he can pretty much hold them in limbo, get them not to help, as you can see, and so he can just do what he wants. And when what's going to happen is when Maduro is run out of office, which he will be, Trump's going to get all the credits. Okay, that's what's going to happen. Trump's going to get all the credit. And I want you all to pay attention, because Trump's trying to build his legacy of making himself the president that stopped 8 wars within 8 months. That's the narrative that he's falsely pushing, because we know he really didn't stop no 8 wars in 8 months. But nonetheless, that's what he's doing. And now he's going to sit there and act like, that he got this corrupt president out of office and forced a regime change. He's gonna get credit for that. That's what y'all to pay attention. Okay. Echo says, Queen, you should know Russia and China have nothing on the United States. What do you mean they have nothing on the United States? Do you mean as far as military power? Because I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. If you're talking about Russia and China have nothing on the United States as far as military power, I don't agree with that. Okay, that's what I don't agree with. And specifically not China. That's just my opinion. Now, with that all being said, let's continue, because Pete Hegseth is currently being investigated, and he's been doing a bit of stonewalling. Okay, that's what he's been doing, stonewalling, refusing to answer questions. Hold on, before we go to that, let's go to this report, because Trump is supposed to be giving a speech tonight, and this might get on live so we can listen to it on the live. He's supposed to be going streaming at 9 o'clock to address this whole Venezuela situation.
Address the nation live from the Oval Office. He's expected to talk about his administration's second-term accomplishments so far and lay out his priorities for 2026 and beyond.
Rich Edson joins us live from the White House. Hey, Rich.
Hey, good morning, Lawrence, Ainsley, and Brian. Well, President Trump scheduled to speak 9 p.m. tonight from the diplomatic reception room here at the White House. The president previewed that speech saying, quote, "I look forward to seeing you then. It's been a great year for our country, and the best is yet to come." It's a Sinatra classic, perhaps the theme of the speech. The White House press secretary says the president will highlight his accomplishments over the past year: a secure border, lower inflation than its peak under the Biden administration, and reduced gas prices. She says the president may also tease some policies coming in the new year. Now, the president scheduled this address as prices do remain high, and polls show more Americans are disapproving of the White House handling of the economy, inflation, and trade. But yesterday, Vice President J.D. Vance touted the Trump economy in Pennsylvania.
The average American family has gained about $1,000 of take-home pay. You are going to have middle-class Americans,
No, hold the hell up. Say what now? Did I hear him correctly? Did he just say that the average American has an extra $1,000 of take-home pay? What? Is he serious? How many of you, by a show of ones in the chat, how many of you currently have $1,000 more of take-home pay? No one's in the chat. This man talking about, I mean, how dumb do they think we are? An extra $1,000 of take-home pay, really? And where's that $2,000 that Trump promised everybody? Okay, from the tariffs. All right, the lies. Let's continue.
Class Pennsylvanians some of the best tax season in 2026 that you've ever had. More money in your pocket because you've got a president and a Congress that are fighting for you for a change, and that's exactly what it should be.
Abroad, more developments on Venezuela. Last week, the U.S. seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. Well, the president is now escalating that campaign against the Maduro regime there. He wrote, quote, "I am ordering a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers going into and out of Venezuela. America will not allow criminals, terrorists, or other countries to rob, threaten, or harm our nation, and likewise will not allow a hostile regime to take our oil, land, or any other assets." In just a few hours today here at the White House, the president will go to Dover Air Force Base, where he will attend the dignified transfer of those 2 Iowa National Guardsmen who were killed in Syria over the weekend. Back to you.
Thanks so much, Rich.
Hey, it's condolences to those brave soldiers who lost their lives. Okay, I don't think Trump really gives a crap about them. Okay, anything he does is for photo ops. We all know that by now, don't we? Okay, but like I said, condolences to their family, friends, and loved ones, and thanks to them for their service. And also condolences to the interpreter who also lost their life. Okay, now, with that all being said, Trump is just an idiot, okay? And sadly, we have to deal with him for at least another 3 years. All right, not much we can do about that because it doesn't look like the Democrats are trying to help us in any way, shape, form, or fashion. All right, but he was talking about the economy and saying an extra $1,000 in our pockets, take home pay. Where is this all coming from? Because this is what I see. Americans are more dissatisfied with Trump's handling of the economy than ever, according to polls. Okay, Americans give President Donald Trump his worst approval ratings ever for his handling of the economy, as they also express concerns about the cost of living, healthcare prices, and personal finances. All right, and this is from a new PBS News NPR Marist poll. Okay. 57% of Americans disapprove of how Trump is handling the economy, once viewed as one of the president's strengths. 36% say the president is doing a good job. The lowest this poll has found across, both of his terms in office. Sagging support for Trump on the economy is likely a major factor dragging down his overall approval rating. 38% of Americans think Trump is doing a good job as president, but they say this is a major problem for him. This is what Lee Myringoff, director of the Marist Institute for Public Opinion, says. When affordability is so front and center in people's minds, that's going to be laid at the doorstep of a chief executive. 7 in 10 Americans say the cost of living in their area is unaffordable, including nearly half of Republicans and 3/4 of independents, according to the latest poll. 3 in 10 Americans say the cost of living is affordable, falling 25% percentage points since June. Now, the longer this goes on, the harder it is to get those numbers back. This is what Amy Walter, editor of the Cook Political Report, says. It becomes sort of a self-fulfilling situation. People don't feel confident in you, and they think prices just continue to go up. Public frustration with the economy has plagued Trump's predecessor, Joe Biden, during his presidency. When inflation began to peak in early 2022, Biden's approval on the economy also dipped to 36% before improving slightly by the end of his term. Trump capitalized on voters' economic dissatisfaction during the 2024 presidential election to win back the Oval Office. That was the big thing that he ran his campaign on. Now those same feelings could be potentially perilous for Republicans in next year's midterm elections. Okay, so let's just go take a look at these charts, these graphs. Okay, Sosa said, can't blame Biden and the Dems for this economy now. No, you certainly cannot. Okay, they may have had their fair share of issues, but this is all on Trump. Okay, he made a bunch of promises that he clearly has not kept. And also, he's been focusing his energies and efforts on the wrong things, mainly on distracting us from those Epstein files, causing chaos in a different situations purposely, in my opinion, just to keep everybody preoccupied so no one's focusing on the real thing that he was running his campaign on, Epstein. Okay, how do you feel about the job Donald Trump is doing as president? So you see there, okay, 54% disapproval rate. Which party do you think would do a better job handling the economy? 40% say Democrats, 35 Republicans. Okay, 14% say neither, and 11% say about the same. All right, so Trump is not doing such a great job, and they're sitting there trying to paint these false narratives, acting like everybody's getting money. Okay, I find that also interesting. Like, we're so dumb, we don't know that we're not getting an extra $1,000 on the economy. Registered voters. Registered voters were likely or more likely to say the Democratic Party would do a better job compared to the Republican Party, 40% to 35%. Now, independent voters gave Democrats an 11-point edge in this poll, though the margin of error for that group was 6.2. It's a dramatic reversal from September 2022, months before the last midterm elections, when Republicans held a 15-point advantage on the economy with voters overall and a 23-point advantage with independents. Now, since the Republican Party now controls the White House and both chambers of Congress, it's tough to point a finger at the Biden economy and say that's what's driving the situation, according to Mirinoff. And that's true. That's exactly what Sosa just said. Can't blame it on Biden. Okay. Now, while Democrats are positioned well for the midterms right now, their support on this issue has not fully hardened. Okay. Now, Democrats made issues of affordability their top concern in off-year elections and will likely continue to do so. This may be where you throw a few punches, step back, and hope that the other side collapses. Okay. This is what Mirinoff says. So economic concerns are fueling an overall sense of pessimism in 2025 as it comes to an end. More than half of Americans, 57% to be exact, describe themselves as having a more negative view of what's to come in the year ahead, while 43% say they are more optimistic. It's a reversal from a year ago when the majority felt hopeful about what would come to pass in 2025. Now, a year ago, people felt like 2025 might offer some relief with prices of goods stabilizing. Okay, this is what Walter says. That didn't happen, and now people are less inclined to believe it will happen next year. Instead, the price of goods remains the biggest economic concern for Americans in this latest poll, with 45% listing the issue as the most pressing issue for them, more than double the number who names any of the other options, including housing costs, tariffs, job security, or interest rates. Okay, so even as the president has begun to acknowledge issues of affordability and promised to bring prices under control, he also has dismissed concerns as a con job perpetrated by the Democrats. Isn't that what that fool always says? It's a Democrat hoax. Some Republicans in Congress have broken publicly with the president over those repeated claims. Affordability or lack of ability for Americans to afford the cost of living is not a Democratic hoax. That's what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. Okay, so anyway, Trump's just an idiot. And of course, he just gaslights and deflects and denies anything that, remotely points a finger of blame at him for anything. Now, with that all been said, let's talk about Pete Hegseth, because as I told you all, there was a briefing and they were talking to him specifically about the airstrike that took out the survivors, and he's refusing to give them any of the footage. Okay, he's stonewalling. So let's get into it. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. These people are just doing whatever the hell they want, and nobody is stopping them.
It is the 22nd bipartisan briefing we've had on a highly successful mission to counter designated terrorist organizations, cartels, bringing weapons meaning drugs, to the American people and poisoning the American people for far too long. So we're proud of what we're doing, able to lay it out very directly to these senators and soon to the House, but it's all classified. We can't talk about it now. We're also going to tomorrow allow the HASC and SASC to see the unedited video of the September 2nd, alongside with Admiral Bradley, who has done a fantastic job, has made all the right calls, and we're glad he'll be there to do it. But in keeping with longstanding Department of War policy, Department of Defense policy, of course, we're not going to release a top secret, full unedited video of that to the general public. Hask and Sask and appropriate committees will see it, but not the general public. It is the 22nd bipartisan briefing.
You heard that. They're not going to release it to the general public. And he's talking about it was a highly successful mission. Well, you know, at the end of the day, he's just trying to stonewall. Like I said, they don't want to give up the ingredients because they already know they absolutely committed war crimes. That's what they did, bottom line.
Deeply unsatisfying briefing this morning with Secretaries Rubio and Hegseth. It asked more questions than it answered. And it was just... Look, there is almost no transparency in this administration, and that reveals itself more than anything on revealing what happened on September 2nd. This morning, I demanded in front of every senator, to Hegseth's face, that he let every senator see the unedited video of what happened on September 2nd. I've seen it. It turns your stomach. It is awful, and people should see it. What the hell is Hegseth hiding? We had a deeply unsatisfying briefing this morning with...
Y'all hear that? Now that's pretty alarming, okay? That is pretty alarming as far as I'm concerned. Honey, what are these devils doing? Let's continue. Now here's what Rubio had to say with his lying self. Please pay attention. It's a hot mess.
Now to see what Rubio is saying right now.
And provide updates on this counter-drug mission, which is focused on dismantling the infrastructure of these terrorist organizations that are operating in our hemisphere, undermining the security of Americans, killing Americans, poisoning Americans. And this has been a highly successful mission that's ongoing and continued, and we're pleased to be here today to update Congress on how that's developing and how that's moving forward. As I said, I believe it's our 22nd, 23rd such engagement, certainly been at least the 4th or 5th that I've been involved in, and those will remain and be ongoing. Okay?
I would just echo that. It is the 22nd bipartisan briefing we've had on a highly successful mission to counter designated terrorist organizations, cartels, bringing weapons meaning drugs, to the American people and poisoning the American people for far too long. So we're proud of what we're doing, able to lay it out very directly to these senators.
We already heard him saying that, but here's what I want you all to pay attention to. So what Pete Hegseth and Trump are both doing is every time they're talking about these airstrikes in Venezuela, they're repeatedly saying the same words, the same buzzwords. These they're using words like killing Americans. Okay, these rug dealers, you know, they keep saying these things to demonize them. And what they're doing when they're doing this is they're spreading propaganda. See, they're using these buzzwords, calling them, you know, rug dealers, smugglers, killers, terrorists, and all these things, and sending rugs over here to kill Americans and all of this as if they're holding guns to Americans' heads and forcing the rugs down their throats. But they're using this propaganda to demonize these people so that when they kill these people on these boats, and even when they further start their land strikes, if they do, then it'll make us, the American public, and other people around the world watching feel like, well, that's what they get. They're no good. They're rug smugglers. They're coming over there and trying to kill people in the United States. They're sending their illegal substances over there, trying to demonize them to justify their actions so no one's having any empathy and sympathy for them. Don't you all know another group of people that this is happening to currently? We don't have to say who they are. We know who they are. But I also want you to pay attention because this is also the same tactic that Hitler used, okay, in Germany. when he was taking out those other people, the Orthodox community. He was using propaganda to paint them as, just saying all these hateful things about them so no one would have empathy and sympathy. This is a common tactic. So that's exactly what Trump is doing right now. He and Pete Hegseth, they keep using these words, okay? And not only are they doing it with the Venezuelans, they do the same thing with the immigrants. When he's talking about the African immigrants, okay, or the Black immigrants, right? When he's talking about them, when he uses words like garbage and trash, okay, and shish hole countries and all of that, those buzzwords to make people not feel empathy and sympathy, to look at them as less than, as though they're not worthy. This is what he's doing. These are all wanton supremacist talking points, doing the same tactics, spewing propaganda. But we know they do this. They've always done it. It's just like when they say black on black crime. That's propaganda too, to demonize the Black community as if we're so violent and we're so criminal behaving, when all of the communities, they all basically engage in criminal activity. Okay, there's criminals in every group, period. But so I just wanted to point that out. But anyway, that being said, let's continue. Okay, because Rubio, he's just full of crap. So let's go to what Senator Mark Kelly had to say about it. Because he said it was all just BS, for one, which it is.
Reached out to you at all as part of your investigation? The last thing I heard from DOD regarding me personally was in 2011 when I retired from the United States Navy and was given the Legion of Merit for my service in this country. So again, yeah, this is all a bunch of bullshit. And the reason why, I think, is because this is just about sending a message to retired service members, active duty service members, government employees. Do not speak out against this president or there will be consequences. So it's a lot bigger than, just dealing with me. And that's why they don't handle this professionally. Like you would expect at some point that DOD would notify me of like an investigation, but they haven't. And they haven't because I think what they really care about is the public message. They're going after me, a U.S. Senator, for something I said that was lawful. It was the truth. It was something people are trained on. It was something that Pete Hegseth said in 2016 multiple times. And in his case, specifically about this president and his concerns. They don't want other people saying these kind of things. So they're trying to shut people up. But in this case, they picked the wrong guy. So I'm not going to shut up about this. I'm going to continue to do my job. I'm going to stick up for our Constitution. I mean, I think Pete Hegseth is a guy goes to work every day to try to figure out how does he please the president. That's a recipe for some major problems.
Exactly, because he's Trump's ASS kisser. Okay, that's just what he is. Now, here he is again, Senator Mark Kelly, talking about the DOD investigation.
Backing down, because this really isn't about me. This is about all of us. This is about every member of the military, every retired person, every U.S. citizen. Hey, folks, it's Mark Kelly, and I want to give you a little bit of an update on the situation with Pete Hegseth and this ridiculous investigation of his against me. Hey, we just learned that the Department of Defense, they're escalating this review of me into what they call an official command investigation. And then today, this is pretty interesting. Today, we had a brief on the strikes on the Venezuelan boats in the Caribbean. Secretary Hegseth, Pete Hegseth, he was there along with most of my colleagues, the other U.S. senators, and Marco Rubio as well. And I had some serious questions for Pete Hegseth about these strikes. And at first, he was a little reluctant to answer them, and he just started trying to lecture me on this situation. And of course, I'm not going to be lectured by this guy, the most unqualified Secretary of Defense in our country's history. So I reminded him that, he said the same thing that I said in 2016. He also said it specifically about this president. And he said it more than once. And also, folks, you got to understand that our military swears an oath to the Constitution, not to a person, not to the president. An oath that requires them to refuse illegal orders. And, we still don't know if they're actually going to try to follow through on this court-martial of me, but we do know that they're moving forward with something, this command investigation, as they call it. I want all of you to know that no matter what happens to me, I am not backing down, because this really isn't about me. This is about all of us. This is about every member of the military, every retired person, every U.S. citizen who, has rights under the Constitution. So I'm going to keep fighting for the American people, and I'm going to keep doing my job, which includes holding this guy, Pete Hegseth, and this administration and this president, Donald Trump, accountable for what they do and when they cross a line. So, folks, I'm not going away. I'm not backing down.
Okay, now you all heard that. Now this is a darn shame how he's able to just go after people who are speaking out and saying the truth about him and his nefarious administration. Now he wants to have this man court-martialed. Okay, this is all crazy. The Democrats better do something and quick. Okay, because this is all getting out of hand. All right. Republican senator asked about Pete Hegseth. Basically, if he would still vote for him, knowing currently his qualifications. He clearly didn't want to answer that question directly. Please pay attention.
Were to take the confirmation vote again today, would you vote to make Pete Hegseth defense secretary?
That's a question I can't answer without as much thoughtful research as I did the first time I did that vote. I think you might.
Now you have evidence, not research.
Yeah, but you know what the reality of it is, if you go on what's in the newspapers, it's near impossible to know exactly what's going on. We heard one day that he had put an order in to kill the survivors. The next day we're hearing something else, and the next day we're hearing something else. But I will tell you, I am pleased with Congress's role of oversight. I think we're doing a really good job of demanding answers and getting answers. I chair the Western Hemisphere subcommittee, and we're going to have a hearing on this. You're having other hearings, and I think Congress really wants to know exactly what's happening and the real facts.
See, people like him get on my nerves. And he's sitting there talking about Congress wants to hear the real facts, and that's what's reported in the news. First of all, we want to hear the real facts, and she asked you a question that you clearly didn't want to answer. And then he just gaslit her and deflected and started talking about something else and sneakily changed the subject. I would have taken him right back to the question again. Okay, sir, you're going to answer this question. That's what you're going to do. Okay, so get to talking. Okay? And I'll take that as a no. That's what I would have told him. And since he wouldn't answer it, I would have said I would take that as a no. That you would, in fact, not vote to confirm Pete Hegseth at this point, knowing that he's fully not competent. We've seen all of the fumbles and bumbles, okay, the wrong people being detained and him wasting time going in the wrong direction rather than the right direction. And the killer from Brown University still been on the loose. Okay, please sit down somewhere. You know that he is not qualified, sir. Just call the truth. Call out the truth. Now, here's something I thought was interesting. I want you all to see this video. Pete Hegseth AI war rules just exposed a brutal truth. Now, this video was done December the 13th. That's 4 days ago. And I want y'all to pay attention because I find it interesting because everything he says that the AI exposed in this video is everything I already told you all weeks ago. Okay, so please pay attention. I told y'all the truth just keeps coming out.
Just rolled out the new Department of Defense guidance on the use of AI in warfare. And the people of the internet knew exactly what to do. They understood the assignment. They immediately started asking this question. If a military force blows up a fishing boat, then circles back to kill its survivors floating to wreckage, is that considered a war crime? According to the AI software itself, they didn't say maybe. There was no, it depends. It was undoubtedly a war crime. And here's the part that really matters. The part that Mark Kelly and the other senators were stressing. The document makes crystal clear that obeying orders is not a defense. If an AI system flags survivors as a target, if a commander gives the order anyway, And if the soldier carries it out, every link in the chain can be held accountable, and should be. This isn't about politics. This is about the laws of war, as well as basic human rights. You don't get to erase accountability by hiding behind software. So if the AI system can see that this is a violation of law, then the soldiers and the whole chain of command should also, and they will be held accountable for their actions. If an order is given to go back after survivors, that order is supposed to be refused. You don't get a free pass because someone higher up told you to do it. This is exactly what Senator Mark Kelly and the other former military Congress members were speaking about and who they were speaking to. And this is exactly why Hegseth and Trump got so angry with them. The Department of Defense's own new AI software is now exposing their own war crimes in real time. So to be so inept that you put out this software service that will undoubtedly work against you in trying to defend your actions, this is MAGA logic at its finest.
Okay, it sure is. What idiots they are. Okay, just complete bumbling idiots. But anywho, now let's talk about Susie Wiles. The comments that she made about Trump dump and his nefarious administration were hilarious during an interview. But Trump stands beside her. Now, mind you, if you don't know who Susie Wiles is, she's the chief of staff for the White House. Trump stands by Chief of Staff Susie Wiles after bombshell Vanity Fair interviews admits that he has an alcoholic's personality. Okay? That's what she said. President Trump defended White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles in an exclusive interview with the Post Tuesday, saying she was right to tell Vanity Fair that he has an alcoholic's personality and that he has confidence in Wiles to continue her role. In an afternoon phone call, Trump said he wasn't offended by his subordinate's word choice. He wasn't? Or is he just saying that because she made him look like a whole fool? Because that's what she did, if you ask me. He says no. Okay, she meant that you see, I don't drink alcohol. So everybody knows that. But I've often said that if I did, I have a very good chance of being an alcoholic. I've said that many times about myself. I do. It's a very possessive personality. Okay, this is what Trump said, a titillator who has frequently cited the 1981 death of his older brother Fred at age 42 of an alcohol-induced heart attack. Okay, as the main impetus for his abstinence. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? Now, I find this all interesting because how do you make that into a compliment? I'm sorry. How do you make that into a compliment? I have several questions. I have several questions, but anyway, let's continue. Okay. And so with that all being said, he said, I don't drink. Everyone knows that. And then said that teetotaler was because his brother Fred died at the age of 42 from a heart attack. So that's why he doesn't drink. Okay. I find it all interesting, like I told you all. Anita says, you don't drink either, never did. Susie is a fixture in Washington politics. She's been around Republican in politics for decades. Well, you know, like I said, the stuff that she said about Trump and some of the other people in his administration were hilarious to me. Let's go to the news report. Here we go. And the fact that Trump used the word teetotaler is hilarious to me. Okay, and basically that's a reason. That word means basically a reason or excuse for why someone doesn't do something. Okay, in his case specifically, drink. I'm going to share my screen. Lights up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you.
Reflective lens coating.
Oh.
Scratch resistant coating.
Did I choose?
UV protection. Award-winning customer service.
That's me.
That's also me. free returns, free exchanges, and free frame adjustments for life.
And how much more is that?
Oh, it's all included at Warby Parker.
So my glasses
Are still just $95.
Oh.
Surprise! I just get excited.
President Trump is standing by his White House chief of staff after a series of striking interviews with Vanity Fair. Susie Wiles providing a rare window into the West Wing, describing the president as having an alcoholic's personality, saying Trump, who does not drink, operates with a view that there's nothing he can't do. Nothing, zero, nothing. Then going on to label Vice President J.D. Vance a conspiracy theorist for a decade, describing his transformation from Trump critic to supporter as sort of political. Vance brushing it off.
Sometimes I am a conspiracy theorist, but I only believe in the conspiracy theories that are true.
And this morning, the president dismissing the comments too. In an interview with the New York Post saying, "I don't drink alcohol, so everybody knows that, but I've often said that if I did, I'd have a very good chance of being an alcoholic. I've said that many times about myself, I do. It's a very possessive personality." But Wiles also comments on the president's cabinet, criticizing Attorney General Pam Bondi, saying she completely whiffed the Justice Department's response to the onslaught of demands calling for the release of files on convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Wiles telling Vanity Fair she read the Epstein file and that Trump is in it, but she says not doing anything awful. Wiles said that Trump was on Epstein's plane. He's on the manifest, saying they were, sort of young, single, whatever. I know it's a passé word, but sort of young, single playboys together. As the controversy surrounding Epstein swirled for months, President Trump has fought efforts to release the Epstein files and ordered the Justice Department to investigate Epstein's relationship with Democrats, including former President Bill Clinton.
I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times.
But Wiles says there is no evidence Clinton ever visited Epstein's private island and that the president was wrong when he suggested the files include incriminating information on Clinton. The president has publicly pressured his own attorney general to prosecute his perceived political rivals, like former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. Prosecutions rejected by a judge and grand juries. Wiles says, "I don't think he wakes up thinking about retribution, but when there's an opportunity, he will go for it." In response to the interview, President Trump also says that Susie Wiles has done a fantastic job. Wiles herself calls this reporting in these articles from Vanity Fair disingenuous, saying that it's a framed hit piece. But she does not dispute any of her quotes, and Vanity Fair says they're all on the record and they're all recorded, Michael.
Yep, I mean, it's on the record, it's recorded. Not much you can say about that, Rachel. All right, thank you.
Let me tell you something. That lady must have something on Trump, okay? She went in on every last one of them. That's what she did, and she didn't change any of her words, didn't deny any of it, so please. If you ask me, for Trump to sit there and condone that stuff that she said, saying he has the personality of an alcoholic, as if that's some sort of compliment, well, I think that lady must have something on him, honey, and Trump knows not to even try it with her. That's what it sounds like, because she went in on all of them, and even talked about how Hegseth previously was talking trash about Trump, and now the fact that he's all down for Trump is basically just political. Okay? She spilled all the tea. All right? Did y'all catch that? She sure did. I find it all interesting. Trump didn't say one word. Okay, but anyway, on to other news. Let's talk about it. Because did y'all know that Google, let's get into it. This came out just a few days ago. December the 8th, Google, Black Google workers, y'all know Google owns YouTube, right? Black Google workers one step closer to $50 million settlement in discrimination lawsuit. Now, you may be asking, what in the world is all this about? Well, I'm so glad you asked. You see, here's what happened. Okay, first off, there was a lawsuit, and it was with Latinas and Black folk that worked for Google. So Google suggested to the Latinas that they remove the Black people from their lawsuit if they want to get paid. Yeah, I'm not making this up. I want y'all to pay attention. Okay, a condition of a settlement in a discrimination lawsuit, Google requested the exclusion of Black employees. Hold on. Why don't I just put this on the screen so you all can see? Because I was like, is this all true? So I Googled it. Okay, and Google said this about themselves. Let's get into it. Y'all see that? Now, it says, as a condition of a settlement in a discrimination lawsuit, Google requested the exclusion of Black employees from a class action suit brought by Latina and other non-Black employees. They wanted everybody out. I mean, they wanted the Black people out of the lawsuit, not anyone else, just the Black folk. The plaintiff's lawyers agreed to this exclusion, after which a judge granted preliminary approval for a $28 million settlement in March of 2025. So they was like, we're not going to pay y'all till y'all take the Black folk out this lawsuit. Now, the original lawsuit was filed by former Google employee Anna Kuntu, who identifies as Mexican and racially indigenous, on behalf of a class of Hispanic, Latinx, Indigenous, Native American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, and Alaskan Native employees. The suit alleged that Google favored white and Asian employees in pay and career advancement opportunities. Do y'all see that? I guess I can stop the share now that I've shown it to you. But anyway, let me continue. Goes on to say the exclusion condition. Let's get into it. So they say Google agreed to the $28 million settlement only if Black employees were excluded from the settlement class. This condition was agreed to by the plaintiff's lawyers, and a judge approved the settlement as modified. Now, what was the reason for the exclusion? Well, I'm so glad you asked. You see, one of the lawyers for the plaintiffs in the Cantu case stated that Black employees were removed because a Black employee was pursuing a separate pay equity case, and her counsel requested the carve out to pursue those claims independently. That's the excuse they gave. Now, following public scrutiny for the exclusion, Google later agreed to a separate $50 million settlement in May of 2025 to resolve a class action lawsuit brought on by Black employees who alleged systemic racial bias. This separate lawsuit was led by former employee April Curley and covered about 4,000 current and former Black employees in California and New York. Google denied any wrongdoing in both settlements, but agreed to pay the amounts and implement internal changes regarding pay equity analysis and transparent salary changes or ranges. So they agreed to go ahead with the settlement only after scrutiny about the Black people being removed. Now, here's the thing. Upon further review, I also found some information alleging that another reason they were asked to remove the Black folk is because the Black people are identified as Black, and that is a racial group. It is not an ethnic group. And all of the other people in the lawsuit, the other groups of people, they all belong to a different ethnic group. Mexicans, Latinx, Asians. Well, the Asians weren't in the lawsuit, but they spoke about the Asians and the white folk. But nonetheless, the Pacific Islanders, okay, and all of them that were involved in the lawsuit, all are connected to a landmass. And while Black people just call themselves Black people, okay, that's one of the reasons also. Remember, Black has no standing in law. So they wanted them removed. But then the Black people filed their own lawsuit. And then, like I said, due to scrutiny, they went ahead and let that go. They say a federal judge granted preliminary approval to a compensation fund for thousands of Black employees of Google who claim bias in pay and advancement opportunities. This was reported December the 8th of 2025. Now, April Curley arrived at Google in 2014 with a clear mission: recruit talented Black students from college campuses across the country. But within months of starting her new role, she said that the tech giant began steering her toward lower level positions and paying her less than her white peers. And then by 2020, she was out of a job. Now, Curley and thousands of other Black Google employees are a step closer to the compensation they say the company owes them for what they describe as years of systemic racial discrimination. On Sunday, U.S. Magistrate Judge Candace Westmore in the Northern District of California granted preliminary approval of 50 million class action settlements in their case. Now, if finally approved, the settlement would provide compensation to more than 4,000 current and former Black Google employees who worked in California and New York between 2017 and 2023. Now, Curley filed the lawsuit in March of 2022 with attorneys from Stowell and Friedman, Ltd., Ben Crump Law and Sani Law. She was joined by two colleagues, Desiree Mayen and Renika Lewis, who said they experienced similar treatment, were passed over for promotions, subjected to hostile work environments, and denied the same opportunities as their white counterparts while performing the same work. According to the plaintiffs, the discrimination wasn't limited to a few managers or simply one department. They claim it reflected company-wide policies and practices affecting how Black employees were hired, leveled in jobs, into job categories, compensated, evaluated, and promoted. Both sides carried out extensive discovery, sharing workforce data, company policies, and employee records. Each side also hired experts to study information about job titles, pay, bonuses, performance reviews, and demographics. Now, after months of litigation and mediation led by mediator Hunter Hughes, the parties reached an agreement in March of 2025. Now, the proposed settlement provides for a certain and immediate all-cash settlement fund of $50 million, and it ensures that settlement class members will be equitably compensated for the claims that they're releasing, according to Westmore. Now, unlike many class action settlements that use formulas to distribute funds, this agreement employs an individualized claims process. They say class members will submit forms describing their experiences and claimed harms, including lost wages and emotional distress. Northwestern Pritzker School of Law professor Lynn Kahn will oversee the evaluation of each claim. Now, the plan of allocation treats all class members equitably based on the merits of the individual claims that they're releasing as determined by the individual claims resolution process, according to Westmore. The settlement also requires Google to make several changes over the next 3 years. The company must review pay practices before finalizing annual salaries to identify and address any unexplained racial disparities. It must keep open reporting channels for employee concerns about pay, job leveling, and performance reviews and investigate those concerns. Google must also continue including salary ranges in job postings, give employees access to pay ranges for their positions, and avoid using salary history when setting compensation. Mandatory arbitration for employment disputes will be paused until August of 2026. Class members have until March the 20th of 2026 to opt out or file objections. A final approval hearing is scheduled for May the 7th of 2026. Representatives for Google and Curley did not immediately respond to requests for comments. Let me tell you something else that I believe as well. Okay, this is just an opinion of mine. Nene says our ethnicity is ADOS or FBA. That's not an ethnicity, honey. Okay, an ethnicity is connected to a landmass. Like Haitians are from Haiti, Chinese people are from China. Okay, Africans are from Africa. Okay, that is not. And even Tariq Nasheed, who came up with FBA, doesn't even call it an ethnicity. He calls it a lineage. Okay, and there's a difference. Now, with that all being said, I find it all interesting. You know what I really think? As far as the Google wanting the Latinas to take the Black people out of their lawsuit, I think that was a way for them to be divisive. Okay, I think that was a way for them to keep up division. Now, this is just my opinion, and I can't prove it, but we know that there has commonly been, divisiveness between the Latino community and the Black community. Not saying all of them or even all of us, but I'm just saying there are some who don't like us and some of us who don't like them. So there has been an element of division, but also when you see them all coming together for a common cause, because they're all arguing about discrimination and racial disparities in the workplace. Now, that's a reason for them to unify collectively. So let's not have that. We don't need them getting any ideas. Let's have the Latinas tell them, we're not going to pay you unless you kick the Black people out of your lawsuit. Let the Black people fight for themselves by themselves, and y'all just fight for y'all. You don't have any business representing Black folk anyway. Aren't you Latina? I want you all to pay attention to that. That's what they did. Okay, that's exactly what they did. You're not going to tell me anything different. That's what they did. They do not want these minority groups getting together, banding together, and fighting together. And that's why they keep sowing the seeds of division. That's why you have some Latinas who don't like us, specifically the ones who look like Caucasians, the Caucasian Latinas specifically. That's why a lot of them don't like us, because these things are done on purpose. Okay, narratives are painted and pushed. People are told things to paint us in a bad light or whatever. And that's where you get all of that from. I keep telling you all that America's greatest strategy that's always worked for them to keep a level of control over the rest of us, the 1% elite that conduct everything or run everything, okay, is divide and conquer. Okay, ironically, it's called the United States of America when it's nothing but division. Okay, that's always being sold and pushed. So I just want y'all to pay attention. Yeah, that's what they told them. And they put them between a rock and a hard place. Because if they tell you, oh, we'll go ahead and give you the money you're asking for, y'all want $28 million. That's what y'all suing for? Okay, yeah, we're going to go ahead and give it to you, but you got to take them out of your lawsuit first. Or we can just keep on going with the litigation. And we don't know how long that could take. Could be years. Y'all got time today? And they were like, okay, we'll go ahead and take them off. And they had to go to the black people and say, listen, sorry, but they're not going to pay us unless we remove you guys from the lawsuit. Nothing we really can do. Our hands are tied. That's how that worked. Okay? Please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, moving right along. So let's talk about this cop who tried to run over this black man, and he was indicted on attempted murder charges. Now, this happened last month in Baltimore, Maryland. Officer indicted on attempted murder-related charges. Let's get into it, and I'm going to show you all the footage of when he attempted to run that man over. It's just like a 30-second clip. Okay? Now, here's what it says, and this is from the state attorney's website. Officer indicted on attempted murder and related charges. Officer Robert A. Parks was identified in a viral video appearing to try to run over an individual with his police vehicle. Mind you, this officer is Caucasian and the victim is black. Now, November the 12th of 2025. Today, the Office of the State Attorney for Baltimore City Public Trust and Police Integrity Unit announced the indictment of Baltimore Police Officer Robert A. Parks on charges of second-degree attempted murder, first-degree assault, second-degree assault, reckless driving, and misconduct in office. If found guilty of all charges, Officer Parks faces a maximum sentence of 65 years of incarceration. There is no maximum penalty for misconduct. An indictment is not a finding of guilt. An individual charged by indictment is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty at trial. Chief of the Public Trust and Police Integrity Unit, Stephen Trostel, will prosecute this case. Now, the charges brought forward in this indictment reflect the serious and dangerous nature of the actions we all witnessed in the video of Officer Parks. These are the same charges we would bring forward for anyone operating a vehicle in this manner. This is what State Attorneys Ivan J. Bates said. When a police officer threatens the safety of those they're sworn to protect, it erodes the crucial trust between the community and law enforcement that is critical to the historic reductions in violent crime in our city and essential to keeping Baltimore safe. The indictment alleges that on October the 28th of 2025, at approximately 5 p.m., Officer Robert Parks drove to Wiley Liquors Bar, located at 3101 Wiley Avenue, where several individuals were standing on the sidewalk. Officer Parks then exited his vehicle and approached the civilians. He stated, "It's getting a little hot, guys. I just need you guys to take a lap." In response, one of the individuals began walking away. As the other individuals walked away, Officer Parks got into his patrol vehicle and drove a brief distance westbound on Wiley Avenue, stopping along the curb to the right of the first person who had left the liquor store corner. Officer Parks called the individual by name to come over and then got out of his vehicle again. He stated, "Don't make it worse. I'm going to be straight up with you. I'm going to be straight up with you. You got to come." Officer Parks motioned with his index finger to indicate that the individual should walk towards him. The officer said no and turned and walked away. As the person walked away, Officer Parks yelled, "All right, I'm going to call the dogs and come get you." As the person was walking away on a paved road driveway, Officer Parks returned to his patrol vehicle and stated over the radio, "I have I have one running adult male in the alley. Officer Parks proceeded to drive his police cruiser into a paved driveway directly at the individual and with increasing speed. The person ran to his left into a grassy area to avoid being struck. Officer Parks steered his police vehicle directly at the man and struck him in the grassy area. After being hit, the man ran away from the patrol car and then towards Wiley Avenue. Officer Parks continued to drive at the man, who then ran onto the sidewalk and between a utility pole and fence. Officer Parks then drove his vehicle onto the sidewalk and between the utility pole and fence directly at the man. The individual then ran towards an alleyway behind residences and businesses. Officer Parks made a U-turn and drove down the same alley, plowing through a stationary chain link fence into the backyard of 3129 Sumter Avenue, nearly striking the man and causing him to jump over a fence to avoid being hit. At that time, Officer Parks' vehicle became disabled and he exited and pursued the man on foot. However, he stopped within seconds of initiating the foot chase to return to his patrol car. Y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? What kind of crazy foolishness is this here that this officer was doing? I have so many questions. Okay? I have so many questions. Hold on. This is absolutely egregious. Hold on, beloveds. Because all of this that I just read, all of that's not in this video. This video I have is like a 30-second clip. Let me see if I can find the full video. Okay, this looks like this might be the full video. This is all crazy. All right. Hold on. Let me send this to my email. Sounds like a bad episode of Cops or a good game of Frogger. I mean, I have never heard of such foolishness. Okay, here we go, you guys. I'm about to go ahead and share this. Yeah. This is real sad. I shouldn't be laughing, but it's just like, who does this? Okay. Dangerous said it's crazy work. It is. Okay, so I'm going to go to the first clip that I have. This one is like 30 seconds, but I think the one that I'm looking at now, I think that's a little longer.
All right. Yeah, what's your reason to stop me? You ain't even got no reason to stopping him, bro. Hey, yo, walk off, Trey. You hit the alley, yo. Go ahead, Trey. Walk off, yo. He beating. He ain't even got no reason to stop me. Hey, yo, what the f***? You gonna hit him with the car? Yo, what the f***, bro? Yo, hell no, yo. Hey, yo. Come back this way, yo.
See this? What in the world was that? That's the full video, I guess. That's the whole video right there. I thought the other one had more info, but that's what in the world was that? This cop is crazy. I mean, like, why was he that mad? Why did he get that angry? Let's watch it again, because I.
All right. Yeah, what's your reason to stop me? You ain't even got no reason to stopping him, bro. Hey, yo, walk off, Trey. You hit the alley, yo. Go ahead, Trey. Walk off, yo. He beating. He ain't even got no reason to stop me. Hey, yo, what the f***? You gonna hit him with the car? Yo, what the f***, bro? Yo, hell no, yo. Hey, yo. Come back this way, yo.
What an idiot. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure he's been fired. Terry Hinton has this demon been fired, Queen. Yeah, he's indicted. They literally indicted him. Okay, he's charged with attempted murder and a slew of other charges, as I just told you all. So this is all crazy because, like I said, why was he that mad? And then he called the man by name, so clearly he knows who the guy is. Maybe they have some underlying beef, or I don't know, but that was absolutely crazy. You're trying to run that man over for no good reason? Absolutely egregious. But hold on, if y'all thought that was crazy, I want you out here. This man, listen. To me, this man is gay and just as in denial or on the DL because he goes up in church and starts talking about people coming up in the church being gay. He sounds like he is and like he's in denial, okay? Like just really homophobic. I want y'all to hear this. I thought it was interesting. Likes up, everyone, please like and share.
Supposed to be coming in and try to get some help. And then this right here gonna really shock you. This right here gonna really shock you. Get what they coming to church doing? Being gay! Yeah, you gotta come here being gay. Get a look, bring a little gay spirit in him. Yeah, walking past like this. Yeah. Yeah, you at church being gay. How dare you? Want to get tight, deep undercovers. You feel me? Got these undercovers scattered throughout here. I got a couple of y'all be looking at me. I'm telling you, boy, you ain't gonna stick nothing at me.
Y'all notice how they just kindly stopped the stream? Y'all see how they did that? They just said they just closed out the stream. First of all, I'm sorry, but he is absolutely gay, sir. Why are you worried about if gay people are coming to church? What did that have to do with your testimony, sir? He got up there and then talk about, I see some of y'all looking at me. Y'all ain't finna stick nothing in me. Sir, nobody asked you. Sir, no one asked you to. Okay? Now that was hilarious. Is he serious? DJ Big Six said fade to black. You talking about in Jesus' name. Nene said he's obsessed. First of all, who gets up there and says that? He's talking about a little gay spirit, bringing a little gay spirit up in church. I am so done. Okay, so anyway, beloveds, I have your lifelines, and then we're out of here. Okay? Then we're out of here. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Let me go back to what I was saying about that Google lawsuit. Hold on. Let me go back to what I'm saying about that Google lawsuit. Because here's the thing. The lady who filed the lawsuit, I just want to tell you all some of the things that she was saying. Hold on. Okay, because now, like I said, they're saying that they're a step closer or whatever, right? So they say a 2020 study called Women in the Workplace highlighted the disproportionate number of Black women in corporate America who are less likely to be promoted, supported, or given mentorship in advance in the workplace, or to advance in the workplace over male, Latinx, Asian, and white colleagues. So they say earlier this week, Google agreed to pay $28 million to settle a class action lawsuit that alleged racial pay disparities, a development that has reignited debates on equity within the tech sector. Okay, so I'm not going to read this whole thing. So that was the one for the Latino people. Now they say the settlement given preliminary approval by a Santa Cruz County Superior Court judge covers over 6,600 employees who worked at Google from February 15th of 2018 and December 31st of 2024. Workplace equity advocates see the case as highlighting the need for collective action to expose hidden disparities. Okay, now I'm going to scroll down because I want to get to what this Black lady had to say. A former Google diversity recruiter, April Christina Curley, alleged discriminatory practices. Okay, now she's a Black and queer woman. She filed a 2020 discrimination case claiming Google sabotaged her efforts to increase Black and brown employee representation. She alleged that resumes from historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs, and other unfamiliar schools were often dismissed. So if you went to a HBCU, your resume was likely dismissed, she says. I quickly became aware of all the racist ish put in place to keep Black and brown students out of their pipeline. I routinely called out shady recruitment practices, such as screening out resumes of students with unfamiliar school or university names. Curley said there was retaliation for advocating equitable hiring. She said managers hindered her work, harassed her, and dismissed her efforts to diversify the talent pipeline. According to the HBCU alum, a colleague even blocked her advancement. So one of her own Black folks, clearly a raccoon. She said, this white woman also told me that she never felt comfortable supporting my work because she was intimidated by me and therefore never considered me for leadership opportunities. Curley's allegations align with critiques from the tech industry's diversity struggles. Studies have shown Black women face significant barriers to corporate advancement. Now, a 2020 study, Women in the Workplace, highlighted the disproportionate number of Black women in corporate America who are less likely to be promoted, supported, or even given mentorship in the advance in the workplace. So anyway, there you have it. Said there was a whole lot of stuff going on. Fear of rollbacks will worsen existing inequities. Others argue that legal challenges may promote companies to prioritize equity and sustainability. As tech companies face increasing scrutiny, the future of DEI programs is uncertain. Okay, so anyway, I just wanted to share that to let y'all know. And so that's why when I tell you all that I'm shadow banned, okay, I just want y'all to pay attention. Because some of us who are on here talking pro-Black stuff, police brutality, and just some of the other things that I've covered in the past, like these PDF file groups of these people with all that money, those videos that got taken down, y'all know what I'm talking about? Those are all things that'll get you shadow banned, okay? Now, with that being said, let me give your lifelines, and then we're out of here. And I actually meant to tell you all about this yesterday. This is the same doctor that won an award for exposing, things that go on, unethical things that go on in the medical field. Okay, so now he's talking about another example of medical racism with lung function testing. So let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Guided racial adjustment built into this device a spirometer that assumes that if you're Black or Asian, you automatically have lower lung capacity than any other race. My name is Dr. Joel, the Medical Mythbuster, and welcome back to episode 2 of my series reboot on racial biases in medicine. In this episode, let's talk about lung function and race-based equations. Spirometry is a test that measures how much air a person can breathe out after a deep breath. It's a key tool used to diagnose conditions like asthma and COPD. It's even used to determine who qualifies for certain jobs or disability benefits. But for decades, if you were Black or Asian, your test results were automatically adjusted downward. For Black patients, lung values were reduced by 10 to 15%, while for Asian patients, it was reduced by between 4 to 6%. That meant what was considered abnormal for a white patient was considered normal for a Black or Asian patient. That led to misdiagnoses, delayed treatments, and denied access to treatments like lung transplants. Some studies, like this one, even suggested that race adjustments could have exacerbated racial disparities in COVID-19 recovery. And the worst part is, it's built into the machine, meaning that many times doctors and technicians have no idea that their patients' values are being corrected. In 2022, the Global Lung Function Initiative released race-neutral equations. And in May 2023, the American Thoracic Society and European Respiratory Society issued an official statement recommending a race-neutral approach to interpreting pulmonary function tests. In 2024, a study compared data between the race-neutral and race-based equations. They found that had the race-neutral equation been used earlier, more Black patients would have been qualified to investigate for potential lung disease, and more would have qualified for occupations like firefighting, which require a pulmonary function test. And the annual disability payments for Black veterans would have increased by more than $1 billion per year and decreased by $500 million for white veterans. In April 2025, a new study in JAMA Network Open found that the race-neutral equation improved detection of asthma in Black children. It caught 2 to 4 times more asthma in Black children without overdiagnosing white children. Race-based medicine assumes that biology is the cause of health disparities, when in fact it's racism and structural inequities that actually do. If you learned something new, follow and share, because there's a lot more myths to bust.
Okay, y'all heard that. This is the stuff that goes on in the medical industry. It's has not stopped, and I want you also to pay attention because I told you all also how the oximeter, okay, the thing they put on your finger when you go to the doctor or the hospital, that's to check your oxygen levels, right? It's called a pulse oximeter. So these things are less accurate on darker skin, often overestimating blood oxygen levels due to melanin interference. I find that interesting. So my melanin is interfering with how this thing works? Or is that how y'all purposely designed it? Okay? Dark skinned people just can't catch a break. All right. It says leading to misdiagnoses of low oxygen, known as hypoxemia. Okay, hypoxemia, and potentially worse outcomes, a known issue since the 1990s, and they haven't fixed it yet, that regulators and manufacturers have been slow to address. Why are they slow to address it? Because it affects Black people, not them. So they don't care. Okay, though the FDA now acknowledges it. I don't care if you acknowledge it, you're not doing anything about it. So the fact that you acknowledge it means nothing. That's irrelevant to me. This bias means readings might seem normal when oxygen levels are dangerously low. You could die. They'll be sitting there saying, oh, Queen Ahmadiyyah, your oxygen levels are just fine. There's nothing wrong. Meanwhile, I'm passed out because I'm dark. My melanin is interfering with the way it's reading the levels of oxygen, creating disparities in care with ongoing research and legal actions pushing for better, more inclusive technology. And I want you all to pay attention because, like I said, they've known this since the 90s. Since the 90s. So they've known this for at least 30 years. All right? And then do a damn thing about it. Dangerously low levels. That could show that you're okay when you're not. Yeah, you better be advocating for yourself, Black people. Advocating for yourselves when you go to the hospital and doctor's offices. Always get a second opinion, okay? I'm just telling you, end of the day. So with that all being said, that's your lifelines for today. All right. And I'm going to conclude the broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm and I got